Welcome back, guys, to Pirate Talk Radio. It's been a hot minute. My consistency recently has been, I think, slightly better than the official Sea of Thieves podcast and dev updates and stuff like that. I think Sea of Thieves news still has me beat, but so what's been going on? Well, let me tell you. So I've been sick, and you can probably still hear it in my voice a little bit, but soon after the last recording, it was Renaissance Fair season, and I went to the Renaissance Fair, and it was the last show of the year, and I wanted to stay and enjoy what it's called pub sing, where you just get together, drinking, partying, and singing some Rennie Fair songs and stuff, and watching some good entertainment at one of the pubs, and it turned very cold and very damp. And I did not have a cloak or anything like that because I was obviously in full garb. And I didn't have a cloak or anything. So I got very cold and it was very damp and I got very sick. And I was pretty much sick for about three and a half weeks. Was not good, was not at all lovely. Obviously with my job and everything, still had to work, so didn't have a whole lot of time to recover and recuperate, and for those of you who obviously follow my Twitch channel, didn't stream a whole lot either because quite frankly I was either at work or in bed trying to recover and taking a ridiculous amount of cough medicine and anti nose goop medicine and all that stuff. So it's been a rough month as far as illness and stuff. On top of that, I don't know if I mentioned in the last episode, but the company I work for did declare bankruptcy, so we've been dealing with that, which is not fun. And yeah, it's just been one thing after another, but we're back with an episode here, so I hope that all of you out there who have been waiting for one, I know I tested my voice last weekend with a stream. I tested my voice this weekend with a stream, and it held up. So I think, okay, well, aside from having to clear my throat every so often, I feel like I'm back to a point where I can, actually sit down and do an episode. So we're gonna give it a go. We're gonna give it a go. But some other cool stuff that has happened over this month of illness is, as many of you know, and I didn't really talk about it this much this year, but I do a charity for Children's Hospital called Extra Life, and it's in every show note if someone wants to go donate and things like that, and there's milestones that unlock, and I'm pleased to say that the community has got us just about $500 shy of the $5,000 goal this year, which means there's some unlocks that I owe by January 1st. That is a 12-hour Sea of Thieves stream, still to be scheduled, a playing Sea of Thieves on a controller, and for any of you who know me, I'm bad at video games, period, let alone putting a controller in my hand. So that's going to be interesting. It won't be a controller for 12 hours. I can assure you of that because I value my electronics and I will throw it through something probably. So that will be scheduled as well. It might be part of the 12-hour, but it won't be the entire 12-hour because I will literally lose my damn mind. Also unlocked a live PTR, Pirate Talk Radio recording, which I will obviously schedule so that the patrons, so that everyone who listens will know when it's being recorded, and can join the Twitch chat on that day. It'll obviously be put up as well on the podcasting sites and things like that and the YouTube, but wanted to make sure folks are aware so they can come in and take part, ask questions and things like that, and probably be a longer episode depending on how many people come. So I'll get that scheduled. Most of these things will probably occur between Christmas and New Year's, as I've got some time there where I can actually actually chillax from work, hopefully, and actually sit down during a reasonable time and actually do this, because my guess is it'll probably be on a weekend during the day. That way, folks from around the world can actually participate if they're around. So what happens if we hit $5,000? Well, if you hit $5,000 before I do the 12-hour Sea of Thieves stream, which again will probably be in that Christmas to New Year's range, if we hit the $5,000 goal, I will also be doing a $50 Steam gift card giveaway. So $50 Steam gift card giveaway that anyone who is in the Twitch chat on that 12-hour stream can claim. So that's kind of the lows and the highs of what's been going on in the past month, while I've been suffering with Mucus King. It's been gross. It's been absolutely gross. So yeah. But before we go any further, I do want to take a moment, because obviously being a month away from the last episode, there are some folks that I really, really need to thank, because they are still stalwart, vanguard, just amazing people. And that's our patrons who continue to support even when I go a month without an episode because I've been sick. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. iGeffus, L-Cute, Big Bad Pad, Skemelt, and I'm going to try to get it right, Jammer Gamer. I really think it should be Jammer Gamer, but maybe they haven't corrected me. So we'll go with that. With that, I did want to let everyone know again, it is now past time to get the holiday card this year for the certain tier of patron. It is also past time to get the gifts, but for the folks who, and you know who you are, who are at the tier of getting a holiday card and their gift this year, which is a really cool, like, it's a parachute luggage tag thing. It's really cool. I have them on all my bags, which will have your gamer tag on it, along with Pirate Talk Radio on one side. It'll be black with green lettering, matches the ones I have. And those will be in probably, because they're all custom made, will probably be in mid-December. So for those of you who get it and you're overseas, not in the United States, you will probably get your card and your gift beginning to mid-January, just because, again, these are all custom made. So you have to wait for the cards, have to wait for the tags. The tags take the longest because they're hand sewn. So they will be in, and you will have your gift. So just stay patient. I know those of you who have gotten holiday gifts and cards in the past, they come. It's just a matter of the mail system and such. So, Sea of Thieves. Let's talk about this, because season 14, it has to be said that it's got to be one of the most, if not the most, disappointing seasons so far. And I'm not saying disappointing because of the new cool features like the harpoon gun, the blow dart, which I love the blow dart. I have so much fun with it. With the sneaking and the disguises and all the fun little goofy things that we got, just to have fun with the game in a different way. It's not because of that. That is not why this season, in my opinion, goes down as the most disappointing one. It is because of the lack of quality control that we talked about a lot in the last episode. And it continued. It continued over the past month. And finally, we're getting some sort of resolution now with the November update, which we'll talk about. But let's just kind of go through the history here. So when season 14 started, servers were bad. You're rubber banding, you're laggy, like server issues that we haven't seen for a very, very long time came back in a vengeance, and all that we got was poor Drew Stevens on the camera week after week, just saying, we're sorry, we know it's not good, we're working on it. We're sorry, we know it's not good, we're working on it. We're sorry, we know it's not good, we're working on it. And I said last time that I'm tired of hearing we're sorry, we're working on it. Just fix the damn shit and make sure before you roll it out that it's working and it's good. And they still continued to fail that. They had multiple hot fixes and multiple downtimes, and nothing they seemed to do was able to fix the issues that they had. They even went as far as disabling some of the few features, like last episode when we went through and rated season 14's launch, and we gave them basically an F because features that were promised were not even in the game yet, and things that they did promise were not working properly. And then they go and disable things like the disguises because they were causing server issues. And it's just, it was one thing after another thing after another thing that just continued to just chew away at the what had already started as a disappointing launch, a disappointing season, and there was no end in sight. There was no end in sight. The other thing that was disappointing is exploits, which they have called out multiple times that are very detrimental to the game, such as quick swapping. We're back. They were back, and even though they were doing all these hot fixes and downtimes to try to get things up and running, the answer to quick swapping was, we know it's back. We're sorry. We've got a lot of other stuff we're working on. Enjoy the quick swap while it is here because it's going to go away. And it's like, that's like, in my mind, that is the worst, the absolute worst thing you can say, because your poor coding caused something that was already a problem that you got rid of, that you allowed back in, and your response is, well, we can't do anything about it right now, so enjoy it while it lasts. Well, a lot of us don't enjoy it to begin with because it's, first off, it's just stupid and dumb. And I understand it's a fantasy game, and I understand that there's magic and everything else, but I'm sorry, these are historic weapons. I find me a person that can shoot a rifle, a flintlock muzzle loading rifle, and then immediately pull out a blunderbuss and fire it. You can't do it. And so the fact that this has been in the game for a long time, it was removed from the game, and now it's back because of their poor, shitty development, is just, in my mind, just an absolutely disgrace, and continues to just layer on the issues that I have with Rare as a studio. I love their game. They have built a unique game that no one else has been able to find the magic of. They have built a cool story, even though they never finish any storylines, and we're still waiting to figure out what happened to Tasha and Briggsy. We're still waiting to figure those storylines out, but eventually we get that payoff. It always happens that, you know, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, we get that payoff and we get another nugget that we have to wait months and years to do. It has a great story. It has great character development. It has a great energy that no other game has been able to harness. There's been other pirate games out there, but none of them have that in the pirate person feel with a multiplayer shared world experience of cannon fire and physics and gunplay and swordplay. And even though a lot of those things have been broken and fixed and broken again in the past, no other game has been able to hit that style and that enjoyment that we all love in Sea of Thieves. It's a unique thing that no other game has been able to do. And God forbid someone does find that magic and does it better than Rare, because, well, let's be honest, that's going to pretty much shut Rare down unless they get like Everwild or another thing out, because all they got right now is Sea of Thieves, and we know its struggles and we know its churn and player base and things like that. But if another game somehow figures out to find that magic that Sea of Thieves has and do it in a quality way that people enjoy the combat, people enjoy, maybe it has a better story, a consistent story, a studio that's much bigger than Rare does it and does it better, Sea of Thieves has got to look out, right? They've got to look out. But right now, no one's doing it, right? Skull and Bones came out, but it's not the same. It's a little ship that can go 0 to full speed by just hitting the W key, right? When you're fighting, you're just third person shooting cannons and stuff. When you're on the island, it's kind of a click and point and move around and thing like that. It doesn't have that same panache, that same magic that Sea of Thieves has that we all enjoy. Then you talk about a game like Black Sails. It's a single player game, right? It's got a lot of cool features that everyone really grabbed onto. It's got that realistic element of how the Assassin's Creed games does it, but it's not a shared world. It's not a massively multiplayer game like that. It's a single player story. But if any of these large studios comes out with this new IP that's like Sea of Thieves, that has that feeling but does it better, Sea of Thieves has to watch out. And that makes me sad because I really do like the game a lot. Like, I've built an entire podcast and community around this game and I love it. I absolutely adore it. But it's just continually, it's like a lumberjack. And instead of having a proper axe to cut down a tree, they've got this little hatchet. And every update and every monthly update and season, they take that axe and they just they hit another chip out of it, and they hit another chip out of it, and they hit another chip out of it. Eventually, over the course of time, there's going to be enough chips that come out of it from poor quality development that tree is going to fall down. Eventually, there's going to be, the rubber is going to meet the road, and eventually this game will die if they don't get their shit together. And they say the right things, and I feel bad for Drew because Drew seems like an outstanding guy with a good head on his shoulders of what needs to happen, but I don't know what the hell is happening over there that they continue to let this bullshit go through. Features not hitting after being promised, servers in bad states, exploits and bugs coming back, limiting features after they've launched because they did a poor job, features being completely disabled, multiple downtimes, not able to fix the issue. It's just an absolute disgrace. And it's just that lumberjack. And eventually someone's going to yell timber because the damn game's going to fall over if they continue down this road. So what happened? We're a month into season 14. We've had all these issues. Over a month into season 14. We've had all these issues from launch till now. The November update. Well, what's going to happen? Is it all going to be fixed? Is it all going to be gravy? Well, Drew came out with the first developer update that we've had in a very long time. One of the great things about Sea of Thieves when it first came out was Joe Neat would do developer updates on a consistent basis to tell us what is going on in the game and what is coming next. And it was a consistent way for us, the players, to view into Rare as what they're doing with the game and what's going to happen in the game. It was fantastic. It was great. It's kind of like what Amazon Studios does with New World. They do these developer updates where they have a panel of different people, kind of like the Sea of Thieves podcast, and they talk about issues with the game. They talk about what they're doing, what they're looking at, the numbers they're looking at as far as weapon usage. They're looking at the way people are engaging with the content. They're looking at player feedback, and they're giving you a roadmap of what the things they're looking at and what the things they're targeting. That is what Sea of Thieves used to have with the dev update. And just like the Sea of Thieves podcast, it's not consistent. And then it just stopped, like the Sea of Thieves podcast has done multiple times. Well, we have Drew Stevens with his very first solo, not part of Sea of Thieves news, developer updates. And he had a few things to say that I was very interested in, and then more so interested in testing or seeing when the November update came out. The first thing he mentions is they're bringing back the developer update. They're breaking it away from Sea of Thieves news so the news can focus on the Pirate and Forum and events coming up and news, right? They'll probably have some bits and pieces in there that might be about the developer update, but they're peeling away the dev update piece to that, and they're making it a standalone update for us again. Now, my question is, when will these happen? Are they going to be consistent? Or are we going to find ourselves in another position where it's another piece of consistent content that is not consistent? Another thing from Rare that's supposed to be consistent, but in their typical fashion is very inconsistent. Just like their servers, just like everything that they do, they come out strong and they say, we're going to do this. And then, well, we kind of did it. Yeah, we're going to stop it. Are they going to continue it? Because that's the big thing that I've talked about for a while. You got to be consistent. If you're going to do something, do it and do it right. But don't just waffle around. Don't just do it sometimes. Don't just do it on the off chance it works. Do it all the time consistently. And I know I'm sitting here I'm the blackness calling what is it? The soot calling the kettle black, whatever that saying is, because I've not been consistent in making the show. And I get that. You could blow me up in the comments, send me emails. You always do. So I'm used to it by now. But that's what I'm talking about. They have the money. They've got the studio. I'm not making a living making this content. I do it because I enjoy it, and for some godforsaken reason, you all enjoy listening to it or watching my ugly ass mug on YouTube. They have the money. That's their job. This game is their career right now. They need to be consistent. They need to get their act together. I hope that this dev update, I hope Drew Steven owns this over there and is like, okay, let's do another update. And someone says, oh, no, hold on. No, this is my thing. This is something that I've promised. I put my word on it. Let's go. And I hope that that's what happens. So some of the things he brought up as promises that they fixed. In the November dev update, the November update itself, the quick swap should be removed again. The crouch quick swap should be removed. That was something new, obviously, with the crouching in disguises this time. Let's see here. What else do we have? A couple things. One I'm going to get to in a minute, but the other thing they're changing is Safer Seas. So Safer Seas has been out for almost a year now. And when Safer Seas first came out, this was supposed to be an onboarding experience. And if you've never been in corporate America, an onboarding experience is when you learn. That is when you first join the job, you get there on your first day, you sign all your paperwork, you get your insurance in order if you have insurance, you get your equipment, maybe it's your laptop or your uniform or whatever, and you start to learn your job. That is the onboarding experience, getting you into the system, getting you familiar with the work schedule, getting you familiar with the time clocks, getting you familiar with everything. So then you can start your training and then you can start going down the road to make money and do your job. When Safer Seas first came out, first off, I understand why Safer Seas was there. I was a little irritated that they kind of broke their ongoing statement, which is we're never going to make a private server or system like that, or a system where you can go on with no risk whatsoever and just do your own thing. But they did Safer Seas in a way where it locked you. You couldn't do Emissary. You couldn't hit Pirate Legend. You got 25% gold, and you could only get your reputation up to 40, and then it was locked. So I was like, okay, I don't like that you went back on what you say, but there is a high learning curve in Sea of Thieves. There is even though it's a relatively simple game, there is a very high learning curve in Sea of Thieves. So I get what they're doing here. And the Maiden Voyage was always a bad tutorial. It was a cool little fun kind of get introduced to some of the interactions and the pirate lord and start and get some of the stories if you read all the journals. But at the end of the day, it was not a good tutorial. It was not a good onboarding experience for new players to understand what they're going to experience in Sea of Thieves. So they're making some changes after this year to the Safer Sea system. The first thing is they're reducing that level cap from 40 to 25. So now you will no longer be able to go over level 25 in Safer Seas. Now, what they did do, however, is in safer seas, you can now receive 100% of the gold that you get in safer seas, regardless of what level you are. So if you are renowned 5 in all the trading companies, or extinguished 5, or whatever it's called, you can now go into safer seas and you can just collect all your money. However, you still don't have access to emissaries. You still cannot get reputation past 25, but if you've got all that extinguished level, you won't need it anyways. And you cannot hit Pirate Legend. So safer seas can technically be used as a gold farm, but without the emissary, without that bonus, and without that ability to get your flag and up your multiplier, it's really a less effective way, and really just caters to folks who want to be there and not get harassed by anyone. And if that's your enjoyment in the game, so be it. But I was a little concerned when he first started with going to the 100% gold. I'm like, oh man, here we go. No one's ever going to go to high seas. But what they've done yet again is they've balanced it, where they've reduced the level that you can make in safer seas. They give you the full gold, but you still don't get reputation. You still don't get emissary. You still can't hit Pirate Legend. So even though, again, I don't like safer seas, I don't play on safer seas unless I need to get a screenshot of something specific, or in the future if I decide to make videos again for Sea of Thieves that is not just my stream replays. I would use safer seas from that, and it was called out that it is used for content creation, and I understand why. When you're trying to get certain videos, or you're trying to get certain screenshots, completely understand why you would go with safer seas, because then you don't have to worry about that getting interrupted by PvP or another player. So that's the changes that are going to be made to safer seas. And again, safer seas is here. It's not going to go anywhere. So this change, knowing that it's not going to go anywhere, I'm going to just say I'm okay with. One thing that Drew did mention, though, however, in this developer update, is he said broader changes are coming to Rare Studio that will be focused on the quality of their development, and he will share more to come on that in the future. Now, I know in the last episode we talked about some leadership changes with the head of Rare going to the head of Xbox Gaming, which we'll see how that plays out, and Joe Neat taking over as the head of Rare Studios. I don't know what changes Drew's talking about, but to me this is very interesting. It shows a shift that I've been calling for a long time. Now, will this be the shift and what I want, where they're really focused on that quality, where they're really focused on making sure their stuff works and all that stuff? I don't know. We'll have to find out. But any change right now, in my opinion, is important. You got to try something, because right now you're failing, and you're failing over and over again. And instead of falling and getting back up and learning from your mistake, you're continuing to fall, you're continuing to trip, you're continuing to not learn from your mistakes. So for me, hearing that they are making a larger scale, broader change in the quality approach to their development, in my opinion, is excellent. And I'm anxious to see where they go with this. I'm anxious to hear what he's talking about more. And what I would like to see is a little bit more accountability and balls in the leadership that is running Rare Studios. Right now, it seems like it's Joe Neat, or according to the Twitter post back in the day when this was kind of released out into the internet. I would like to see some more balls there where they are holding people accountable for shit development, where they're actually setting their teams up for success, and they're doing roadmaps, and they're doing their little whiteboarding sessions, and they're actually putting features and things into the game that will make the game better, make the players happy, but are within the capabilities and the timeline of proper, clean execution by the teams. I think the teams are being asked to do way too much, potentially even outside of their abilities, and they're asking to do it on a timeline that just is ridiculous. So I'm hoping that whatever change this is, this broader focus on quality from Rare, I hope that this is something that is really going to show us something, and it's going to show us a path forward where I'm not going to have to, even though I know you all enjoy it, that I'm going to have to spend each and every episode ranting about something that's broken and that's bullshit. I I know a lot of you find it entertaining, but do you realize, just I don't think you understand that I'm not that big of an asshole, but it's like I just want the game to be good, and I just want it to feel good, and I want things to work. That's all I'm asking for. I've played a lot of games out there, and I've played a lot of shitty games out there, and I've played a lot of games from studios who don't give a damn about their players, and they just push out whatever they want. I've played them. They don't feel good. And I love Sea of Thieves, and I just want it to feel good. I want it to play good. I want players to have a good time. I want players to want to get an Xbox or want to get Sea of Thieves and want to take part in this crazy, cool, fun pirate adventure game that I've played for years now and enjoy. That's what I want. But if they continue to go down the path that they seem to keep forging in front of themselves, and they keep seeming to trip over themselves, I'm never going to see that wonderful thing that I want to see so bad. And that's upsetting to me. So I hope whatever this is, and I'm anxious to see when they say more to come. I will be waiting with bated breath to see what this is and how it truly impacts the game. And again, we always have to, I always, try to be realistic about stuff, because for most of my career, I've worked at least in partnership, if not over top of agile development teams in software development, not in the gaming industry. But I really feel that we all need to just be aware that if Drew comes back and tells us some leadership changes, some ownership changes, some accountability and team changes that they're going to go through at Rare, we have to understand that once those changes happen, we're going to have to give them months, maybe even a year or more before we're really going to start to see the impact on what they're doing. It's not going to be overnight. It's not going to be Drew comes out and tells us what these changes are, if he can even tell us all of them. But if he starts to explain some of these changes, we're going to have to understand that it goes into effect, and then it has to, like a waterfall, we started at the top, but the bottom is where we see the impact. And we have to wait for that water to come all the way down before it impacts the pool below. So it's going to be some time after Drew announces this kind of stuff that we're going to actually see the impact. We see that with things like cheating. We see that with things like the player safety initiative that they're doing. We see that they're making important changes, and they're putting teams in place to help combat this stuff. And we're slowly seeing that water fall off and into that pool, making meaningful changes in the game. We just need that waterfall to encompass the entire studio and all aspects of the game, so we can start seeing those meaningful changes in all the bits and bobs that we interact with as players. So that was the dev update for November. Now we have the scheduled November update. We're all excited for it. Drew just told us in his update what was coming. He told us what we can expect. And what happens? It gets delayed. It gets delayed because they had some issues. Now, I have said before, I have no issue with a studio delaying an update if it means the update is going to be solid, if it's going to be clean, and if it's a quality update. We got some of those pieces with November. So what are some of the good pieces that we got out of it? We finally have all the features of Season 14 that was promised released. We have disguises. We have crouching. We have hanging from ships and things like that. We have the harpoon gun, which has never been taken away. We've got the blow dart gun. And now we have traps. It's all there. What was promised to us is all now there. That's a good thing. It only took them over a month from release, but it's all now there. And it's all stuff that we can now enjoy and goof around with. But, and the old saying that I love is, you can't trust anything before the word but. Yes, all the features are there. 100% are there. However, traps are really buggy. First off, sometimes you throw them and they just disappear. They fall into the world. They go somewhere. Who knows? I had a few traps in last weekend's Community Day stream that we would just throw a trap and it hit the ground and then poof, it was gone. It was never set off. No one was around it. Just poof, gone. The other issue that you have with traps is when you pick them up. So you're disarming them. I literally walked up to this trap, crouched down, got the interact button, hit the disarm button, it just spun. Backed off, crouched down, walked up to it. Didn't even have the option to interact with it. By the time I got back up to the trap, it was just spinning. And that trap was stuck in that mode until someone walked over it and set it off. And that happened to me multiple times. So clearly, the trap disarm feature is not fully fleshed out. It's not fully quality. Throwing the trap, setting the trap is not fully fleshed out. It's not quality. The other issues I had, and I don't know if you all had these have experienced this, please let me know in the comments on the Discord or via email. Again, you can email the show at piratetalkradiopodcast@gmail.com. Your suggestions, your feedback, answers to anything that I say, critiques, you can curse me out. I don't care. If it's a good email, I'll read it. If it's not, I'll just delete it. Just how I am. The other issue that I noticed, and again, I'm anxious to see if you guys noticed it, is the servers seem bad. The servers seem worse than when we launched Season 14. And by this, I mean when you're in the water, the game seems almost unplayable. There's a lot of rubber banding. There's a lot of weird hitching of the mobs. You would sword lunge through some skeletons, and you would hit them all. And like, if you sword lunge through a group of 5, you would hit them all, and maybe one of them died. And you'd be like, what? And then you would return and you would hit it like 4 times with a sword, and it still didn't die, and then you'd hit 2 more times, and then it would die. It was like there's some weird, I don't want to call it hit reg, but there's something weird going on, and I think it's server performance related. And before anyone says, yes, I tested this on 3 different servers, so it wasn't just that I had one bad server, because we all know, if we've played Sea of Thieves for a long time, when a server is spun up, if that server stays online for a considerable amount of time, 3-4 days, because players keep cycling through it, that server does eventually, because of the memory leaks and issues in the code, which are known, the server starts to get a little shitty. Which is why I keep calling that Sea of Thieves every week should do a shutdown of all servers, and then just a quick like 15-30 minute all servers go down and then are brought back up, just so to clear some of that issues. Maybe it needs to be done twice a week. I don't know the degradation time on the servers, but it's definitely something that they've never, I mean, they obviously did with the multiple hot fixes and downtimes that they had this last month, but it's something I really think they need to consider. Most major MMO games do that, at least for, a quick shut off, turn back on type thing, kind of just a resetting of the switch. Most major MMOs and online games already do that. Some games use Tuesday for a multiple hour downtime to get their hot fixes in. So they've got a dedicated time each week where players know, hey, the game's going to be unavailable. But Sea of Thieves has always seems to be against that, and they're going for this 99% uptime, which is great and admirable. But when your servers turn to shit and your code is shit, you got to do something in order to keep players happy and the game healthy. So I tried multiple servers through dives and logging out and, popping a new server, and they all seem to have just this unplayable, when you're in the water, just feels really bad and laggy and distorted. And then when you're on the ship or land, there's rubber banding and hitching and just hit reg, I put in air quotes, historical weapon accuracy issues. It's just, I don't know. There's something going on with the servers that I don't know, and it just felt bad over community weekend. And in general, community weekends have been relatively clean, knock on wood, recently. So to see this on an already bad season because of quality issues really was a little bit alarming. The other thing that I noticed since the November update is the mermaids. I don't know if this has anything to do with the introduction of the merfruit, but all of a sudden mermaids seem to be slow at spawning, or they spawn really far away from you. Like, I would fire off in a cannon to kind of investigate my surroundings, and I would land in the water, and prior to this November update, my mermaid would be within, a 5-second or less swim of me. Now it's like popping up 100 yards away. Sometimes I'll be on one side of an island and I'll sword lunge off to get the mermaid to spawn, and this mermaid spawns on the opposite side of the island from me. So something feels a little off about the mermaid spawning, and they also seem to be spawning very, very slowly. Like, sometimes, like in the past, when mermaids felt pretty good, you would barely diddle your toes in that water and that mermaid would be up pretty close to you. Now it seems like I sword... See, there goes the sickness. I sword lunge off, and it's like I hit the water and I start swimming, and I'm like, no mermaid, no mermaid. Then like all of a sudden I turn around, and then the blue smoke starts coming up like 100 yards away, and I'm like, what the hell? And the thing is, I'll keep swimming in that direction because it's like I could turn around and swim back, or I could just swim forward and hopefully it spawns. And sometimes I keep swimming and it doesn't respawn for a very long time. I'm like, maybe I should have just turned back. But it didn't make sense as far as the distance. The mermaid should pop again. So I don't know what's going on there. But tried 3 different servers, or 4 servers, I don't remember which, on community weekend, and they all felt real bad. They just felt real bad. So I don't know if anyone else is having that type of experience, but I'm anxious to hear if you are. So overall, season 14, huge disappointment in my mind so far. And the thing is, I think season 14 could have been a real winner. I think season 14 was lined up to be a very successful season with a whole bunch of new cool playthings that we get to enjoy and interact with the world. I think it was set up to be that, and it has just fell flat on its face every single time. And it pains me so much that it continues to fall flat on its face. And we get the sorries and we get the this is what we're going to do. But at this point, I just want to see you do it. Like, I don't care anymore about your words. I just want to see it done. And I'm glad that they finally got all the features in so I could actually see what traps were about and got to play with the disguises. But you can't promise something and it takes over a month to get it released when it was supposed to release on the first day. And now my question is, November update, was that supposed to have anything else? Because I know they were going to add the illusion darts or the mimic darts or whatever they're called, but was it earmarked to have anything else? I don't know. That has now been pushed out, and then are we pushing other stuff out, or are we doing what we did in, what was it, season 9 or season 10, where they pushed stuff out so long where they just then had like a mega season where they tried to cram so much shit together, and it was just a bad season because of how much stuff broke. I don't know at this point, but I'm glad all the features are in there. I'm glad that we've got a dev update. And again, I believe that Drew Stevens, if given the appropriate power at Rare, can get some shit done and get it done properly. I really do believe that he is the best man for the job over there based on what I know about him and what I've heard from him. I really think he can really turn some stuff around if he's given the appropriate power and the appropriate control. And I'm anxious to see what he's talking about when he said big changes are coming for the studio, broad changes focused on quality of their development, because that is what we've been asking for, and that's what we've needed for a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your patience as I got this episode up and put together. I appreciate it very much. If you are traveling for the holidays, if you celebrate, I know most folks outside the country don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but if you do celebrate Thanksgiving or you have a holiday around this week, please be careful. Please be safe out there. The world's a crazy place and it's getting crazier by the day. But have a happy Thanksgiving. Have a happy holiday season. Take care of yourselves and each other. And I will see you next time on Pirate Talk Radio.